is everything.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
This is everything. Yeah, yeah.
Sing it again. We're on an ultralight.
We're on an ultralight beam. We're on an ultralight beam. This is a God dream. This is a God dream. This is everything. This is everything. Hey, hey.
We're stepping out on faith. His love is yours. We are saved. He is the risen Lord. We are stepping out on His love is yours. In the arms of Jesus. He is the risen Lord. The risen Lord. We're stepping out on His love is yours. We are saved. He is the risen Lord. We're on an ultra.
We're on an ultralight beam. We're on an ultralight beam. This is a God dream. This is a God dream. This is everything.
Come on, Bridget.
This is everything.
Yo, guys. Oh, man.
All over the building.
I've overbooked this show.
We're on an ultralight.
This show is going to be absolutely crazy. Bare interviews, bare things going on. Interview with Bishop, as you know, I'm going to end off on that one. I'm going to start off with an interview about Black lives in music. So I'm going to start off with some classic art, Black, PG Morton and the Clark sisters, just have to set the bar before we go into this. And I had a meet. So guys, get ready. You're not going to hear too much of music, but pure interviews.
World's falling apart. I don't even know how I arrived here.
Jeez.
But I'm so grateful. I was about to lose my mind. I didn't think that I could survive it, but I'm still here. Happy, happy, happy. But yeah, oh yeah. At my
sometimes they take the actual album itself, the music itself, and then give it to white jazz black bands, white artists. And this is where jazz, we know jazz is a black art form.
All day.
Our minds, we only see white people playing it. And this is where it comes from. They used to take the music, they used to spend the money, have the black people record. They used to take the music and give it to white people. And then white people used to emulate it and play it. Just said, that example you've given with Sinach is a model they've been doing from the 20s when there was sick racism, when they wouldn't even put black people and allow them to perform in front of white people because of segregation and the race. They're still doing it.
Sure. Affinity Extra, Be Extra.
Yes, my people, we're here on the edge. We're here to keep things edgy, and you know me already when it comes to black lives and black issues and black all things that are black. Let me just make sure I set up my Zoom because I got a special guest here, someone who I've worked with, co-labored, as I say, in the past, doing cool events. The person that used to know about my deals before I even signed the paper. She's laughing because she knows I would get this phone call after the sign the deal details with the Youre. Somehow I'll get the phone call straight away afterwards. I'll be like 5, 4, 3, 2. Yo, Roger, I hear this is happening. Let's do this. And it's Sharice, man. When I did Messenger Lives, GR Lives, I did, and you know, and you managed and a quality cohort of artists that were international and UK, which was crazy, you know what I'm saying? To be I don't think anyone's touched that to this day when it comes to the UK rap scene, and no offense to the guys today in the UK rap scene. I think what we don't recognize within the gospel now is the power and the usefulness of management and the, you know, the stewardship of management. And I believe them artists definitely benefited from Sharice. I saw at work, I saw developing relationships with the US. When you got quality, you need somebody being a power broker. And as I said with my friend Colin Tomlin, the lack of power brokers that we have in the gospel, UK gospel industry, is the problem why we haven't gone further than what we are. You know what I'm saying? It's great having talent, but we need power brokers. Not to say, you know, but I have to big her up, man, because, you know, she was definitely a power broker back then, you know, and who to say where we'll be. But you know what? God had his plan for her life. And in a time such as this, all of a sudden, she's part of an organization called Black Lives in Music, yeah, and I'm proud of that. You know, I'm proud of somebody in my generation, background culturally similar, actually caring about the future, caring about black people. I'm learning so much about our input into the musical realm, number oneness when it comes to the music realm. And you know, I definitely want Sharice to really chop up the heart. The reason why she's done this, you know, because I'm passionate about what we haven't achieved because of a lack of knowledge. But I believe this is where Sharice will come in and whatsoever. And also the institutionalized racism within a genre, within the entertainment world, where we have actually changed the game, but we're still facing systemic racism. How's that be? How's that the case? You know what I mean? You know, we change the game every 2 weeks. Why are we still here? You know what I'm saying? Your teeth are sound, you sing like us, and you sell 20 times more. Say no more. You know what I'm saying? Our musicians get paid less. Our musicians don't know how to create residual incomes. All these things, we're not educated, but we're here to change things here with Black Lives in Music. Sharice, please explain to me how you came from gospel to how can I go? So social music, entertainment, everything in one. Just explain that little journey for us, so people won't think that you've totally off the radar and you're there with your Rasta hair and a Rasta hat, and you know what I mean, and you got Muslim on us.
Listen, if I was there with my Rasta hat, so be it, because you don't understand where we're from, though. You know, and I'm glad you asked that question, because as Bob Marley says, you know, if you don't know your history, you won't know your future. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rasta hat all day. So how did I transition from gospel? Actually, it was just the journey that God has me on. continual journey. I decided I hit a glass ceiling. There was not much I could do because of certain issues that we're going to talk about today. And on a personal level, I wanted more out of my life. I wanted a family. I worked so hard, and I wanted a family. I wanted a husband. None of these things were even on my radar. And you know what? Let me drop out for a bit. I'll come back and just take a sabbatical. That sabbatical became permanent. I went to do some missionary work, humanitarian work in Nepal.
Yeah, man, I remember the pictures.
That changed me because it harnessed, you know what, God doesn't work in it. And when you're isolated or sectioned off, sometimes you can hear a bit more. When I was over there, I didn't listen to music at all. No one could even play a piece of music near me. I didn't want to hear no music. I just wanted to hear what God would have for me over there. And it's about Nepal, but the point is, this is a journey. Anyway, while I was there, I understood who I was a little bit, what I liked.
Okay.
So I love music. I love people.
Come on.
And I love the aspect of what drove me in terms of to be successful was a simple thing. How many people can we reach with our message? That was it. How many people we can reach? It was always Christ-centered. It was always the gospel that pushed me. Okay, sweet. And then, so I realized, actually it was purpose-driven. I was more purpose-driven than the glam and the glitz and the results, if you would. Anyway, left music altogether. Still, I was not interested in coming back. I was headhunted by an amazing organisation called Help Musicians. So if you're a gospel artist, and you may have heard of Help Musicians because they were giving out some grants during the pandemic. They're still giving out grants now, even if you've applied. So this is a little pitch. Even if you've applied, go and get your money. It's there. It's going to get hard for musicians this year and for the foreseeable future. Don't play, get your money. Anyway, so they headhunted me to sit on the board. I sat on the board of Help Musicians. Help Musicians at the time was more primarily jazz and classical. So I'm starting to see the disparities here, and I recognise them very well in gospel music, but I saw the disparities and I was like, there's no diversity, there's no people of colour. You're only giving money to this, you're only doing this, there's only awards and things for, where's the black people are there though? Why are there opportunities and access not there? And I'm sitting there and watching this and I'm speaking out in the boardroom and whatnot. George Floyd happens, and then I was asked to create a business case. And then when I created this business case, or in the creation, the first thing I was looking for was evidence, to prove. There was nothing. There was no data on black people at all. Jesus. Nothing. And I was like, well, that's the first thing we need to sort out, the data. And that's how Black Lives in Music was born. Wow. I was paired up with my co-founder, Roger Wilson, an amazing classically trained musician, played across theatre, big top.
Heard of his name before? Yeah, definitely heard of his name.
Yeah, so Roger Wilson, two Rogers. So, and we developed a model where we work within organisations to create diversity from the inside out. We have over 60 partners, including the Royal Opera House. We've signed up some big names even this week. Can't mention them until it's all official, but brilliant. We are doing extremely well. And what's most important is that we're giving a voice where there wasn't one. Come on. Yeah. One, our experience, we all know what we're about to speak about it now. Got our experience, but no one was listening to us. But they can't deny data. You can't gaslight data. And it gave us a voice. And that data is really important. So I'm really proud of what we achieved. Proud of what we made behind the scenes, which I'll go to later.
No, that's sweet, because I looked in the BBC end of 2021, and I saw the article. Look, with a feature of a couple of artists saying about the disparity, of income streams when it comes to black artists and how they've been treated. Now, me looking in from the church, I come from the Christian music scene. I would almost say that my counterparts have got it better in the secular world, because obviously you see them more, whatever, they're still out there. And I would say that but from that shake of the head, you're saying it's just as hard.
Difference is that there's infrastructure. In the gospel industry, there's no infrastructure, there's no investment. In the mainstream industry, in the commercial industry, there's a little bit of investment. As a matter of fact, they will tell you 250 million has been invested in A&R, I think last year. And so there, but no, because
but do you think because when I say gospel music, the reality show is kind of weird way, gospel is like the church version of urban. Yeah, so basically it's black. Basically, it's like saying urban music was basically black people music back in, obviously, until they got rid of the word urban. And then now, for me, gospel is Christian music, which is done by black folk. You know what I'm saying? Black folk style. And so for me, when I look at it's almost, even just take the gospel out of it, if you look at Christian music scene, it has got money in it.
It does. Of course it does.
Yeah.
To America, you can see, why people can live a life,
Mm-hmm.
and in over here there are certain musicians, certain worship leaders who are, they're living nice. They're just living a nice life, and without mentioning any names, you're living a nice life. You know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And, but when it comes to black people, no investment.
Yeah.
No. We'll use you for backing vocalists. We'll use your songs even.
Yeah. Right
sing
for
it
me.
in church.
Right for me.
No investment behind it. We're doing it ourselves, and this is not even grassroots. This is beyond grassroots, because we've been doing it for hundreds of years. So it's always been within. And like I said, if they like something, they'll take. Let's take that. Let's take that. Let's take that. But they will not create a space. They will not create access. They will not create opportunities. There's segregation. There's them, and then there's us. Okay, and they create it. Okay, and that's what it is. I'm going to call it for what it is. You can't say I don't. That analogy, I disagree with, Roger. Gospel music is the church's version of urban.
Yeah.
No, gospel music is just gospel music.
Yeah.
The foundation of all music. All music. Think about your rock, gospel. Think about your rap, gospel. Think about every pop, everything is got its roots.
Is in gospel music.
Into gospel. It comes from gospel music.
But the thing is, you can't say that though, sis. Not saying you can. You are saying, and I totally agree with you. But when you go into them certain fields, as black people in the past, we've been too afraid to tell Martha, hold on a second, your teeth. We just been too scared to say it.
Because there's been lawsuits. We don't need to go into that, but there's been people that have spoken up and said, "Wait a minute, that's and you just get shut down." You've had my lived experience. My lived experience is I've gone into them places and said, "Wow, basically this is an artist. He's fantastic. He's doing great things." And it's almost like I'm going,
yeah.
They're not listening.
Yeah,
they're not listening. The moment they see, I'm going to be nice and say gospel, because I'm not gospel. I've never been gospel. I've been hip hop. Straight. Yeah. I've always said that. Anyone who knows me knows I actually don't even like gospel music. Yeah. But I will say, I will say, I've gone into these and they've seen is gospel. And if I really rip what I'm saying down, you can edit this. All they see is black, and they're not interested.
No, not editing nothing out, man. Just say it as it is.
You've got some of the most talented people, who they'll give a little to. I'm not mentioning names, but when that person's speaking up and saying, you know what, I don't want to be seen as a gospel artist. I don't do gospel. I do worship music. I want to be a worship. Worship leaders are white. You're gospel. Or worship leader. You're not a worship leader. We'll put you in the gospel category. Why? Because you're black.
Yep. Yeah.
But you can't be a worship leader.
But yet,
and be honest, that's where they put the investment.
Yeah.
That's when you're more mainstream. That's when you can go and do your touring when you're a worship leader. The moment you're a gospel artist, you're in this little box.
But worship is basically rock and roll soft up anyway, still, yeah. And who invented rock and roll?
Which worship's that? Which worship's that? This is me and you, Roger. Which worship's that? When I got saved, you know what? Worship wasn't soft rock and it was
yeah.
It was a Hillsong, but prior to that, it was something else. Worship's evolved.
Yeah.
Worship now, when I was 5 years ago, worship sounded like Coldplay. Anything Coldplay was doing. It evolves. In other words, and if we really look biblically, what is worship? What I'm saying, worship should not have no color. Worship is to glorify God,
and it shouldn't have a sound. It should
be whatever sound. Worship can be no sound. It can be mute, and you're doing all that dancing. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's worship. So why are you putting a color in it? Why are you putting a category? And what you can say is, well, it's industry. Okay, well then, if it's industry, why are you not making the investment where it counts? And that's where I say it's race.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and it's racism, in my view, because you are happy to take the sound. You are happy. You tell me, Governor B, and I'll call him names now. What investment have you made in Governor B? Have you signed him yet? Man's been on the scene for, I don't even know, he's an old man.
You know what I'm saying? He's an old man picnic. He came on as a teenager.
We've known him since he was still in school time.
Yeah,
on
man.
G5.
Yeah, man.
He got Pickney and all now.
Jeez, man.
All now you're not signing him.
It's incredible.
You know, our stages would, I call names because I don't, it's the past, but I love, and the thing is, I love my guy anyway, but then let me not call names.
Yeah.
Christian events.
Yeah.
Black people. Wait, you might bring out a Dana or a Lecrae. You might.
Yeah.
You might bring down a Lecrae, but no, you'll see Gonga, you'll see everybody else, and the black people are on some fringe stage, like we're
some side chick,
like we're in back in the day, like our music's not listened to, like you're not going to take from our music. You'll put LZ7 there, but you're not going to put Jahaza come on, let's call it.
But the thing is, and this is the weirdest thing, and it's almost like I call it it's. And this is why they don't want to open that team in the Christian music scene. In the secular music scene, I see them opening up the team through Black Lives in music, yeah. But one thing I've noticed with our people is almost like I'm open to talk about these subjects when it comes to blackness, but I find that Christians are more bothered about white fragility. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going, the facts are the facts. If I thump you in the face, why are we pretending I can never thump you? You know what I'm saying? I mean, if I'm holding you back, you know what I'm saying? And the reality show is how on earth is hip hop the biggest genre in the world right now? And you look at
has been for the past 20 years, by the way.
What's that?
And has been for
20 years. Have we seen? If you were interested in the gospel Christian music scene, yeah, if you're actually interested to spread and communicate to your young people who are listening to all the black artists out there, that rappers in the secular scene, yeah, if he's actually interested, you would have invested over a decade ago into Christian hip hop, seeing it as a communication for young people, but you don't invest into it because then you have to invest into majority black artists.
I think, to be honest with you, even if we had someone who tested something,
yeah.
And I'm saying, actually, you know what? I'm going to invest in this rapper, this black rapper. Okay, investment looks like a whole marketing plan, making sure he's at shows, making sure he crosses over to America, making sure he's everywhere, blah blah blah, like you do with everyone else, everybody that's not black. See what happens. See how you can change the industry. See how you can. What impact that would make. It would make an amazing impact. Okay. And on top of that, you can't say, oh well, they're not really accepted, or they we can't earn money from it. That's nonsense. Instead, we invest in a white rock group from thing who ain't got no followers, nothing going on for them, and say, yeah, we know what to do with this, let's shape. And if you don't know what to do, get a black person on board and part of your team. Invest in the structure of your company.
Yeah.
Whatever Christian company there is now, David C. Cook, I don't know who runs Team Integrity. Where's your people in the company that can tell you what's up, that can tell you what's going on? Where this is the investment we're talking about. If you keep doing the same thing, nothing will change, and that's what's happened. Nothing has changed. You've not invested in your companies to have more black employees at all, or if they're not a receptionist at senior management level, where they can make some decisions. You've not made an investment into the culture. You've not made an investment into the Christian music industry. The Christian music industry. When I think about Lecrae, and this is controversial, but I'll call it for what it is because I ain't scared, right? Lecrae got to where he was because his partner was white. He was a white man.
Yeah, mate. Of course we know, man. We know Ben.
Let's just chat it.
Straight. Yeah, straight.
If Lecrae was on his own, or his manager, or his partner was a black man, he would have never got to where he got to. Never. And even then, for Ben, it was a struggle. Let it be known as well. It's not
it's not easy.
But at least Ben had something for him where his voice was getting heard. For the rest of us, our voice ain't getting heard. My point is, after a while, and this is the reason why we did Black Lives in Music. After a while, you're like, God, we got to make this evidence. We've been talking for hundreds of years. Our plight. The only way we can do this, make it factual. Collect some evidence. Let's do it. Let's get some data on this. And that's what I'm saying. That data is for the gospel market. It doesn't discriminate in terms of genre.
No,
Give
yeah.
you a little section of data for the gospel market for you to use. Okay, and understand that as black women, we're not seen as equal in the music industry. We're still standing behind the guy with the guitar singing BVs forever and ever. Amen. For black people who are instrumentalists and at the top of their craft, nobody can even come next to them when it comes to licking the guitar and the bass. Are we at the forefront? Still
sessioning, man. Still doing it. I was watching an artist that came through later on in my GR Lives. Run about GR Live 3-4. She came on the scene. I won't mention her name, and I see she's an artist, a white artist, good artist. She's done a couple of black gigs, and she got a little vibe to her. And her BVs, I'm looking at her BVs. I know from back in the day, about my age, and the BVs are banging singers. I'm not saying they want to do solo, but I'm going. Are we always going to be the BVs for the big bands?
No, because if you look at it, bro, and this is across the industry and in gospel, we've got talent. And then on top of that, if you look at society as a whole, if you're associated with blackness, black culture, seen as cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%.
So a white rapper can't come out without a black cosign.
100%. Yeah.
If you're a white singer and you sing a little bit edgy, like a little bit not too pop, trust me, you got black dancers in the background doing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's my point. Like, they'll take our culture. If you look at my girl now, it's all calm down. I'll mention her name because I don't want to be involved in that mess. But the truth is, Jessie from Little Mix. It's atrocious. That is actual, atrocious. And listen, I wasn't talking at the time. Trust me, I had all the papers call me up. The Mirror, the Sun, all the big guns call my phone because talking about give us a quote. I said, I'm not quoting because I'm not contributing to anything that goes on afterwards, any mental health issue. I'm not trying to do that to my girl. And plus, it's not her fault. You know whose fault it is? It's the record labels. It's the A&Rs who are all white who say, go and stand next to Diddy and darken up your skin and you'll be palatable, you'll be accepted because you look black. But you won't make the investment to have a black person actually sing that tune and stand next to Diddy. A black woman sing that tune and stand next to Diddy. You won't make that investment. It's the mindset. It's across the board. It's in gospel music, it's in Christian music, especially in Christian music. And it's worse in Christian music because they're still dealing with segregation. Segregation,
Segregation, in churches, we segregated.
Segregation. It's segregation. got your black church and you got your white church. Brazen. You got the Dove Awards and you got the Stella Awards. Brazen. You know what I mean? How can we be so divided, but yet we're all one body, kumbaya? Oh, we're bringing black people when we need a session musician. You have people texting my phone, and I'm listen, do not edit this because I don't care. People texting my phone. You don't text me when Martin Smith dropped a tune with a normal song on his own.
Yeah.
Or something. You don't text me with that.
You
don't text me when Tim Hughes has dropped a new album or Matt Redman. Matt Redman, I do love.
Yeah. They got big tunes, man. They got a couple of big tunes. Yeah.
Like love. But anyway, you don't text me with them things. You text me when you're singing with Kingdom Choir. You text me when what you do? Why are you texting me? Because I'm black. I don't even like the song. You're texting me your stuff because I'm black. What do you want me to do with this? You want me to put it in my circles because I'm black, but you're not helping. You're not blending. You've got segregation. It's a segregation mindset.
Yeah, man. The one the little people doing that.
His album. When Tim Hughes dropped Lockdown tune, I can't remember the song, but trust me, that song was beautiful. And that when I sent that through. Right? When they do, when it's a black thing, I'm getting Christian record label, Sharice. Don't Sharice me nothing. Don't ever text me nothing. Because for me, when I got that text, it was an offence to me. Offense to me. Why? Because you're saying, Sharice, you're only good for black music.
Yeah. Yes. But yet, they've got colleagues that oversee black music and get paid heavily amount of money to oversee and make major decisions.
What do they know about black music more than someone who's from the black culture? How's that even make sense? And I don't even aspire to that.
But the thing is, here's a point that you raised right at the beginning. You talked about it's okay for them to sing our songs. Now, I'm talking to my colleagues, and something that people are encouraging people to do is to write. Yeah. And I'm happy with people writing for songs and worship leaders using your songs, or not worship leaders, but artists utilizing your song. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe rappers are more personal because they need to use their own rap bars. I understand that. But when it comes to singers, in industry, you have songwriters. Yeah. Great songwriters. Some people just stick to it. You're a decent singer, but stick to songwriting. Yeah. Amen. But the reality show is what I don't like to sing, and I'll just call it as it is. We have we have discussions where we look at the situation with Snatch. Now, Snatch blew up massively as a black woman, amazing, blew up in her own country, Nigeria, massive things. She's going on with things. Then Integrity jumps on it. And then for me, Integrity got her song and got two other white bands to sing it and actually sell more in the US. Now, for some people, that's okay. But for me, that shows an evidence that racism. For me, it's racism. It's disrespectful.
Racism. Do you know there's something called Race Records from back in the day?
Oh yes, yeah. Kevin's been teaching me, man. Race Records, like that's just taking the piss.
So what they used to do, I'm so terrible at them, but let me try. What they used to do is they'd get black singers, and they'd used to record songs. Okay? And sometimes they'll push the song out without doing touring. They'll buy that album and push it in the circles. Not invest in the artist, not invest in nothing like that. Just buy the album, push in circles. Sometimes they take the actual album itself, the music itself, and then give it to white jazz black bands, white artists. And this is where jazz, we know jazz is a black art form.
All day.
Our minds, we only see white people playing it. And this is where it comes from. They used to take the music. They used to spend the money, have the black people record. They used to take the music and give it to white people. And then white people used to emulate it and play it. It's said, that example you've given with Sinach is a model they've been doing from the 20s. When there was sick racism, when they wouldn't even put black people and allow them to perform in front of white people because of segregation and the race. They're still doing it.
And the thing is,
because they would never, instead of integrity, say, you know what, this song is banging, Afro beats is popping, starting to bubble. Let's invest in Sinach and then put her on tour in America next to Matt Redman or one of them ones, and still then put the investment in and increase her fan base and increase her wealth and increase her influence. No. Actually, we'll just take this song and give it to some white person and increase what they're doing. And that's how it is. No investment in our talent. No investment. And they just take.
But the thing is, it's clearly, guys, it also says a statement about white Christians. You cannot hack the fact that a black woman, not brown skin, not softy hair blender who's sleeping in there, look, she got green eyes. Nope. A black woman can go on the stage and lead you in worship. Like, that's too much. We got to get Michael to do that song instead. We got to get a band. I can't remember the name of the band. They did it as well. I'm sure Michael W. Smith did his version, and Integrity kind of picked up the track and whatever. And I know that a friend of ours who works at I don't want to expose his name, but he's very proud about Scout finding the artist. But for me, there's a mindset that needs to change. You need to stop saying that you're discovering us. You say,
bro, don't bring this up on the camera. Don't do that. You know I can't curb.
They always talk like they discovered. How can you discover?
Discover and not invest. It doesn't make any sense. I don't care. You went to a concert and you went to a church and you heard someone rap. You went to I can't remember, Spirit of Life or one of them conferences. I can't remember.
Yeah. Fire conference, man. Fire. Yeah.
Fire conference. And you heard someone and you said, "Yeah, I discovered." You discovered Jack.
Yeah.
You discover. Yeah. When you make the investment. That's when you discover. When you put the money in. Yeah. That's when you discover.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm saying.
That's when you start saying discover. And let me tell you, if you can give me one artist, bar Noel Robinson, and Noel Robinson only just got it the other day after how many years of rolling with him, man. Give me one artist,
decades.
Give me one artist they've made the investment in. Just give me one. Go on, you give me one because it's been a long time. Shame me.
But she says none. Because I would have seen the pennies going through, and even
but anyone Christian, give me one.
I can't. She's black in terms of black.
Black Christian artists, gospel artists, anyone. Give me one, just one.
You could. I can't say Kingdom Choir because they sang.
Sony, that was Sony. Give me one. That was Sony. Sony jumped on it and done their thing. That's investment, by the way. Give me one. And that wasn't even a good investment, but let's leave that.
Yeah. Let's leave that one.
Give me one.
Oh, God's sake. I can't think of one, you know. Christian music.
How long Karen and them been around singing?
Who's that?
Look how long Karen and them.
Oh, she's been around for decades. Like, people talking about she's been singing from the 80s.
Yeah, it took for Sony, but give me one. And you know what? Not Levin Hudson days. I'm not talking about that. Secular. By the way, that was all secular people.
Secular, and it's like New Colours. That back in the day, that was all secular market and everything like that. Still, yeah. But in terms of gospel, I remember when New Life got Integrity deal, but that's back in the day as well.
Okay. When was that?
That was. Oh my goodness sake! Just before you started in the period, just before you kind of kicked in, about a couple of years before you kicked in.
Okay, so we're talking about Raymond and Co. Did they get one?
I think they got a distribution deal or something like that still, yeah. But they weren't now popping record deals, because here's the joke now. This is the scary thing is now, and I'll rather say it is like this, because I spoke to the producer that was working with them projects at that time, yeah. Now, bear in mind, at that period, Mary's been released, yeah, and Kurt Franklin, you know what I'm saying? Now,
Kurt Franklin was gone, blowing up.
Mary was charting. People were dancing to that tune in the clubs. People don't have to recognize, you know, Shackles was being danced to in all clubs.
You go out to a bar,
it was massive. So Integrity was in a golden era of gospel music. What people didn't realize, you know, because they were distributing gospel music in the UK, they had the deal. What people didn't realize is that they had a deal with Sony to distribute it to all the shops in the UK. Did they press that button? No.
Why? That might not be their fault. That don't sound like that's their
No. They just never pressed the button. But that's not there. The end of the day, so you have the contract signed, and you looked, and this is when because you don't have a Sharice or a Roger in there seeing, you need to push that too, because the reality show is people in Carlisle are looking for Mary, they can't find it, so they lose interest. So because they got so many distribution deals into HMVs and all that business all around the place sitting there, but all they care about is the bait shops, CLC, High Street, Wesley Owens. That's the circuit we were pushing.
They didn't have the power or the infrastructure to ensure. Maybe the deal, there might be something behind that, but no, if they didn't push the button,
you need people in there, like you said, in powerful positions to drive certain deals. Because when I go to record companies, and at the time when I was doing, GR Live, or as record companies, how many records have so and so sold? When I can, because you can literally go to Integrity at the time, because it was CDs, believe it or not, and you would have to. There's no Spotify, guys. There's no Tidal, nothing, and you go to them and said, how many CDs you sold? People like Dietrich Haddon was only doing 1,000 units in the whole of Europe, because there is an infrastructure that needs to be created, and it needs to be created. Yeah, there are no publishing companies. There are no real distributions, or in this day and age, anyone doing any form of marketing deals, licensing deals. None of those things are in place. All now. They don't. It's almost like they don't know how to market. That they've been in this, and these are the things that we need. We need publishing. Yeah, man. Publishing companies, and we need people to create. It takes individuals. I could have created a publishing company. For me, I'm like, when you're looking at people like Audrey Gray and people that are more on the business side and the mindset side, you can't do everything yourself. I know. People in these organizations to make the investment in the infrastructure. Yeah. It's something. This is why money ain't being made in Integrity the way it should be. This is why they're getting bought out every 5 minutes, because they're not doing the infrastructure correctly. Yeah. And slowly all of these things will go, because we're into the metaverse. Music's changing. It's going to be fan based. And they missed the trick where they had a cohort of black artists that they could have invested in, that could be right now be the flag bearers that are in their 30s, and they could be flag bearers for the next generation. Now though, they can still make that investment. Yeah. If there was a real strategy, how can we get all the great minds together, white, black, Chinese, Asian, everybody come together and say, how can we invest into the Christian music industry, and look at it, look at the genres, look at everything. Look at who's popping, look at who's successful. What do we need? We need a publishing company. We need someone we need something that's enabled to engage on marketing, online marketing, on these basic music principles. And none of these things are happening. Listen, erase everything I've said before and listen to what I'm saying. Unless you do that, you're going to die. And you're going to die. Like Integrity, you're going to die unless you, sorry to say it, unless you adapt, you will die. And that's what we're seeing. In the mainstream industry, they're crying and they're selling their catalogs for $500 million and 250 million, because they understand the music industry is going in a direction that's completely different. Totally different. And they're realizing that these streaming companies are things are pulling away from the streaming companies, because you've got record labels buying up the players, buying up catalogs, buying up things, investing in TikToks, investing in software, and you man still ain't even got a publishing company. Sis, this is good. So I know I know we're going to close down in a bit, sis. Now, Black Lives in Music now. Absolutely fantastic, because we can talk about the issues all day long and what we need to do going forward. But the thing is now, how is Black Lives in Music going to be plugging into what we're doing when it comes to black music? Because we in Affinity Extra, we obviously here to celebrate gospel music of black origin, 100%. Absolutely. As you know, behind the scene, we have conversations, and as you know, we are creating, as what Black Lives in Music does, even though we are across the music industry. We know who's who, and we're creating networking opportunities, options for organisations such as the GMIA. I want to encourage you to sign up to the GMIA, learn the music industry. As Christian artists, we've got this thing
where we just say, well, God will just. And God will just, because God is faithful.
Oh, Lord, you sound like me now.
But faith without works is dead.
Yeah, man.
But my people perish because of a lack of knowledge. But there's things you must invest. And GMIA are giving you the tools to understand what it means to be an independent artist. We spent the majority of this call talking about the bigger organizations, and they're not signing. But it doesn't matter in a couple of years' time. Is that the power will be with the artist. So you've got to talk up yourself.
Yeah, man.
Know what it means to monetize your money, know your value and your worth as a musician, even though if they don't, you do. God does, because God gave you the talent. So understand what that is, harness it, and be a part of a community. And you'll have that with the GMIA. Black Lives in Music are doing what we can to work with the GMIA and other organizations that work in Christian music to amplify the voices of Black musicians. You might not see me every day on camera, but understand behind closed doors.
I know. You're working hard. Yeah, man.
And we're making them moves.
Yeah, man.
And making them moves for everyone as well. So do your bit. All it is, sign up to the GMIA, subscribe, and take the classes they're teaching you, and trust me, you will elevate, and it will do massive for your ministry, for your music. Yeah.
No, that's crazy cool, Susan, and I do kind of like have to again celebrate what you're doing, and it's again, you know, I will have to put it on. I have to put it on record. I'm not waiting for any crazy situation to happen, but I would definitely salute your hard work. I know it's a daily process in the background, making this situation work, but I believe it's an opportunity for our generation to really change things for the better, not to suit ourselves, but for the better. And because of God in our heart, I believe that it's not about vengeance, but it's about making things better for the generation now and the generation tomorrow, and putting things in place that forever be integral to safeguard the future of you know, things are never going to be perfect, and I think sometimes we accept because we're coming into the boss's country that we'll forever be, but it's no, the boss is the boss in our countries. So it's a time that we have to balance things out, you know what I mean? And we had to show is that, you know, Black music has played the part in revolutionizing the entertainment world, the part. You know, I talked to Kevin Tomlin, it does historical things with us, and we look at this like until I think it was Aretha Franklin, she turned it into $1 billion business in the US. You know what I'm saying? You know, and until certain Black artists did certain things, Elvis Presley chilled out with, you know what I mean? His music's heavily influenced. He's the king. I grew up King Elvis. Man, he was rocking with all the man them. You know what I'm saying? You know, he was influenced by so many Black composers and writers and singers and musicians, and it's got to be, and the record has to be stopped, you know, to recognize our things. So our children. But also on the last note, I have to salute you as well with jazz and classical music. It's a pushback, because myself, I picked up a trombone as a kid. Yeah, that's my first love, a trombone. I got picked in class for a trombone, but then my dad says, I'm buying you a piano, so put down the trombone, we're going to play piano. I only did up to grade 3 in the piano, but maybe it could have been a different game for me if I kept to my first love, which was the trombone at school. But because my parents didn't see it being a valid instrument, or like, you know, for our community, but it's just re-educating and creating opportunities for Black kids to feel like, yo, this is something that I can do. Unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to do it. I look back, little regret, going, what could have been? You know what I'm saying? As a musician, I could have been a decent trombonist, but I wasn't. But you opening up them art forms and re-educating Black people, this is not just a white instrument thing. This is not just for white people to play classical. Black people be involved in these arenas, or orchestrating, or being the founders of these arenas, full stop. And it's having that education to make Black people think of, stop doing this to ourselves. These genres have been whiteified and
there's a lot of work to do, you know, bro. There's a lot of work to do, because we're talking about the culture, we're talking about education, we're talking about being exposed, and just looking at the whole holistic aspect of you know, Black lives in music, and tearing down the barriers that stop us from progressing. And it's a lot of work, but we're doing it.
No, you're doing it.
We're happy to be doing it with you guys as well. And we've got some things planned and like exciting stuff that involve young people, exposing them to more music instruments, regional as well, outside of London. We want to make sure that all Black people have an equal opportunity to fulfill their dreams and their goals in the music industry at every level. And that's what we do. And so, continue to support us. We've got more research coming out this year and we're going to make up a lot more noise. And I feel like, really pray about what the gospel industry is going to look like. Are you going to start making up some noise? And if you don't make up some noise, that's fine, because we're making up the noise. But what differences are you going to make? What change are you going to make? What onus are you going to think?
Come on.
And I think that's what you need to do. You need to start making the steps for change, because everything's there. It's obvious. Rock the boat because, it's not... No, man, Jesus rock boats,
This is it, man.
Jesus rock boats. Like, seek God, ask him for clarity and ask him for guidance. But Jesus rock boats. And we got to rock the church. Listen, it's getting its own rocking anyway.
Amen.
But, we got to rock some boats.
Yeah,
anyway.
100%. But listen, I'm going to love and leave Cherise here. Black Lives Music. I'll put some link in the description, if you're listening in on YouTube or any of the other platforms, because we want to definitely direct you to Black Lives Music and for you to submit to their newsletters and what they're doing out right there now. So well done, sis, and keep up the good work. And listen, let's do this 2022, man, and touch base near the end of the year, mashing up some things and going, yeah, man, we changes. I believe changes are going to happen this year. 100%, man. Yeah. Listen, sis, you take care and nothing but love, man.
All right, then. Take care.
Bless you.
Hey, this is your bishop. This is your bishop from Rock Solid. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for clicking and subscribing and also sending these videos to other people as well. We are so hungry to get your support. So remember, check us out on our website and also check us out on Insta and wherever you want to find us on Spotify. You can play us all day as well. And just make sure that you are supporting this channel, that we are developing our agenda towards music of Black origin, and that is gospel music with a message. So please walk with us on this journey. Bye now.
Yeah, Black Lives and Music. Wow. We're just going to keep this thing real, guys. You know what I mean? That's just how we do it on Affinity Extra. We're here to celebrate gospel music of Black origin, and we're here to keep it all blackity bleak. I'm going to go straight to my next interview with Bishop Jackson. So, get ready for this, guys. And we're just going to talk about, you know what? Christianity was in Africa way before Europe, Did you know that? We had a conversation about, what the effect is that, and talk about it, because nobody else wants to talk about it. But in our community, we all know it. But that's why we're losing too many of our young men to a lot of other stuff. So we don't talk the thing. And we need to talk the thing still anyway. So yeah, but this is how we do on Affinity Extra. You're on the edge because Roger just does everything shing, 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 edgy still, Hey. Everyone's shocked that I like this song, Even my wife, when I played it, she's like, she kind of liked it still anyway. So yeah, but listen, so good. You know how I mean, Please want to talk over the track and sing over the track. And make sure it's authentic edge. It's
Europe is irrelevant up to the point of Paul getting a Macedonian call. In terms of spiritual outpouring, prophetic words, discipleship development, it was irrelevant.
Macedonia,
the Macedonian call,
Greece,
where Macedonia is the touch into Europe. Where Lydia is the touch into Europe. And you're running down into the book of Acts to try and find that. So when you look at that, you're starting to say to yourself, it was a natural thing to be black and Christian and part of the biblical narrative.
Sure. Affinity extra, be extra.
Yes, people. This is Roger Moore here from Affinity Extra. We're here to celebrate gospel music of black origin. Yes, you heard it first here. We celebrate black gospel, and you know what? We don't celebrate it enough. It's almost like a side note. But anyway, so yeah, every sound of music come out of gospel music. You know what I'm saying? And the black sound, and we are the authors and creators of popular music that you see today. So just get over it, people of who's fragile, because I said that statement. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're black or white, you could be fragile because of that statement. But also what we like to do, my show, my edge, is to talk about uncomfortable conversations, things that I think that, you know, most bishops trying to avoid to talk about, because it's something which we, with the bishops in terms of leadership, don't want to talk about, because A, they're not taught that, B, they're focused on the emotionality of Christianity and the prosperity of Christianity, which becomes a problem, because what I find, I just mentioned to the bishop before we started, is midlife crisis. Now, when prosperity comes, you know what I mean, and all these other elements of this, effectively prosperity, because you can argue and say, Bishop, in the late 90s, early 2000s, prosperity gospel was at its peak.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and I'm a baby of prosperity, of seeing the prosperity gospel being delivered. So people got saved because there's a benefiting factor of becoming a Christian in a physical manner. And when it doesn't happen for you, marriage doesn't work for you. Money don't work for you. The picture turn out bad. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you sit down and you're 35 to 50 and you go, but I've been to church every single week. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And then a dude will come to you after George Floyd and go, you're in a false element of Christianity. Hold on, what are you on about? And then they show you the mappings and the history of Christianity. Now, growing up, and I'm just gonna tell you from my Afro-Caribbean upbringing, growing up, the part of slavery was the spreading of the gospel. So the benefit of slavery was that did I really say that? Yeah. The benefit of the slave trade was that the gospel is being spread into Africa.
I don't think it's a benefit. No.
I'm not saying it's a benefit, but that's how. Before we kick off,
that's a nonsense.
But the thing is,
that's a complete nonsense.
We see images of white pastors wearing black.
I would say it's a byproduct. I'm not going to say benefit, because faith and Christianity was always in Africa.
And was it always? And that's where we're going to get to today. The agenda,
unbroken.
Don't get it twisted, guys. And I'm fed up of this now. The agenda of slavery wasn't to spread the gospel. It was the agenda of going to discovering Americas was nothing to do about spreading the gospel. They make it out to be, I'm bringing Christianity, Christ to these heathens. But the agenda was not that. When they see two gold over there, this is.
It was an easy way to subdue the people. And I think that one of the things we need to remember is that anytime a ship was sent out, it was sent out with a blessing on it, and the blessing on it was probably a missionary, you know, or a clergy to go on the boat, and they feel like if there's a clergy on the boat, then it won't sink. So one of the key things is to remember this. To remember this, that one, faith, especially Christian faith, its birthplace. Outside of what you would call Near East, which is a modern way of trying to separate it from Saudi Arabia and Africa. So you say Near East. because it's more romantic, then you don't have to realize that it's just part of the North Afro-Asian experience.
Yeah.
So it's a North African experience, because you can't say African, because then you'll have to say that the birthplace of Christ is Africa.
Yeah.
And then you got problems then, because then you want to make it vanilla. You want to make it somewhere else.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Like
Egypt is somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's not Africa.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah.
So this concept of this birthing of Christianity amongst slavery is a nonsense, to say the least, because they weren't in purpose to go to land in Africa as missionaries to bring the gospel. It's a side product of them being there, but it wasn't the main mission. So I wouldn't call that, like, say, a full benefit. Well, did you like that anyway?
Yes.
So, I wouldn't class it as a benefit. I would say,
but they see it as a benefit. The Commonwealth,
They would say
sovereign
we
English,
civilized
we
you.
civilized. That's the word, civilized you,
because they have the description of civilization in their vocabulary. We need to recognize that civilization for us is how you live amongst each other. You can't talk about civilization and then you put people on the ship who stole a loaf of bread and send them, and then they make a whole country out of it.
And this is
you can't talk about that being civilization.
And that's modern history.
You make children. This is the so-called civilized world. You make children go down mine shafts and chop off them foot, chop off them hand.
1900.
Civilization is Guy Fawkes trying to blow up Parliament, and then we having a celebration over it. That's civilization. We've got to understand that the dynamics of civilization is how do you live with each other, and it's only because we are now steeped in westernized culture that we think that everything that we look at in the continent of Africa is not civilized, because it doesn't represent what we see here as we so-called civilized.
So, okay. And
to me, anyway.
No. Because the thing is, I think what I want to, and I don't want to be, we don't want to come across as we just really putting it onto non-blacks, But white, Europeans. But the reality show is, guys, this is the problem. Is the truth is the truth, Well, and the truth is that modern history, we're not talking about, and if anybody's thinking, that was 400 years ago, the reality of the show is that basically, when you look at camps in the US of getting young Native Americans into camps next to a church, and a school, and you're having all these Native American children being indoctrinated at the same time, and also being messed up and abused at the same time, under a cross. And this a second generations of that, and people are still alive to this day from that regime. So you cannot turn around and say that Christianity hasn't been part continually of a so-called civilization, civilizing the world. You know what I'm saying? Perspective, and we have to break that apart, because the problem is it's a struggle when you're going through crisis as a black person, and all these things start hitting you, because we have to show us, the guys, when you're nice, when you're getting paid nice, and you get your big job, you go to church, you pay your tithes, Bishop, you have to mention about tithes on Sunday, it comes rolling in, and everyone's nice,
I do think we need to just try and create a balance. So this is the balance. The balance. What we're looking at is things that are affecting us still now. So we have to reflect on the throwbacks. One of the throwbacks is trying to affirm yourself in your cultural perspective, if you like.
Cool.
So trying to affirm yourself in your cultural perspective has to, you have to now navigate your way through the things that have made it necessary for you to recover your dignity. Like Dr. King talks about in Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community. He's talking about recovering our dignity, because the dignity has been snatched and taken. So now we're having to recover it, but we have to also say, where was it snatched by? It's a bit like when you guys talk about racism in football, and it's like, to me, it sounds like this. You know, when it's always commented on, it talks about like an alien came down in the stadium and landed and was racist, and then shot straight back up into the stars. So we don't know where the racism come from. You know, and when they talk about Cyril Regis being thrown bananas at him, we're like, well, he suffered a lot of racism. I said, the racism comes from the constituents, the same people who were clapping for him scoring the goals were the same people throwing the bananas. So now we have to face the reality of a society that is going through, you know, it's awakening of its past. And so also facing the brutality of the truth. And Jesus says, if you know the truth will set you free. So you have to now start navigating. When we're going through this, we're trying to sort of say to ourselves, conscientize yourself on what is true. So the truth is this: racism was practiced by this society that we are in, by the British, and also exported to white Americans. Because white Americans, their root is here, Germany, Ireland, Scotland, all the way across Europe. They come from there. The Dutch, the French, everything in Europe is in America. It's a mishmash of everybody white.
It's like an EU in it.
So all of those countries participated in white supremacy and racism and also slavery. I don't think any of them were separate from it. So we have to face the facts that was perpetrated. And that also affected us now, because racism continued because there was a separation of the people. There was not a huge amount of African people here. They talk about the Jacobite Africans, but there were very, very few. Now we've got larger communities. Now we've got millions of us here. We had to go through the process of now facing racism in our communities, and that affected us. That affected our jobs, our work. There was microaggressions, there were major aggressions, there were racist actions in terms of lack of employment, lack of education, lack of housing. That's why we can all say we're from ends. You know what I'm saying? We all grew up in Handsworth. Now, when we were young, we grew up in I grew up in Stoke. Now, the place for black people to live in Stoke is Hanley.
Oh, Hanley,
so when you check that out now,
is that
it's a very impoverished area.
Okay, because I'm
Hanley, and not far from there we were born, near where Port Vale Football Club is. All of those places were impoverished areas. That's where we grew. Those were small, you know, houses with big families in them. And so every time you look at this, you have to now navigate your way through recognizing that you were giving poor housing. Poor housing comes along with poor schooling. Poor schooling comes along with impoverished wages and terrible jobs
and cycle.
So it's a vicious cycle of poverty. Now, the reason why African people grabbed onto, especially Caribbean people grabbed onto the prosperity gospel, they were sick of having a romance with poverty.
Yeah, man.
Because from the Caribbean, they come here and they have one pot and they have a grip to walk around with. They're sick of talking about poverty. They're sick of living in poverty. They want to be affluent. They want to grow. They want to be wealthy. So all people want to be wealthy.
It's trauma. It's trauma. It's trauma
because they don't
poor.
want the fact of being undereducated and now having to be at the bottom of society.
Come on.
I'll leave that there.
Wow. Okay, cool. So so we'll get to the stage now, as you know, as a Caribbean community, we I don't want to say above average, because there's no average wise we're not above average, far from it, but now you get into a crisis situation where no one's talking in the church about, you know, and people are now self-reflecting, self-educating themselves, and then you rise up these little leaders coming up, not even little leaders, and non-safe spaces for Christians to awaken to their blackness. I have to say totally non-safe spaces. And I'll be honest with you guys, without having someone like Bishop, me bouncing off his questions off, there's very few people I know that I could really bounce, and I publicly bounce, because this is our conversation. We publicly bounce. There's a couple of things I say off stage, but we had shows, we publicly bounce off each other. But there's not many safe spaces for black men of my age to bounce these cultural issues and to have a sound response from a cultural perspective. And that's scary, that we're in a city of a very large Afro-Caribbean community
Yeah,
and
second
not
city.
having
Yeah.
leadership in place to talk from that perspective. So when I'm going through this video done by I think it's Vince Bantu on the Jew Project, salute to them guys, fantastic job in terms of looking at the church from a black church perspective theology. But I have to say the Americans are slightly different to when they preach, there's almost, you have to go, oh, but that's you know what I mean, we haven't got that, you know what I mean, but that's you, why we got that. So they come from a very and almost third generation, very educated. They're not no mugshots out here, you know what I'm saying, and the churches are integral, thanks to the likes of Martin Luther, in social activity.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Always. The churches seem to have this necessary element. Not all of them.
No,
Not all of them.
100%.
Because there are some like those churches that just stood behind Trump and are nothing to do with social
So, no, 100%,
engagement.
100%.
They're nothing to do with it. They just walk along behind this upper class structure of Christianity being vanilla. Rather than and I say vanilla in modern terms because vanilla is black, you know. Anyway, that's another story.
Vanilla milkshake.
Vanilla milkshake. Like it doesn't really have an identity. So when I talk about vanilla, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah, it's vanilla. It ain't got no chocolate in it. So but what I'm saying is that when you look at like Trinity, you realize that Otis Moss is the third Otis Moss. Yeah, he's the third. And you think about his grandfather being part of the movement. So we don't have that. And his father being part of the movement. And then he takes over a church with Jeremiah Wright, Jeremiah Wright is then a second generation. So he isn't even first generation. He's a second generation activist and preacher that says we are distinctively. We are. I can't remember what the saying on the church is, which is, I think, proudly black and distinctively Christian. I think something like that they put on the church. Over here, you try to put that on the front of your church. Jesus have mercy. The members would start speaking in tongues at the doorway and pull the plaque down.
Pull down the plaque down. Say, all right, pastor,
you think about when we get to a church like ours, which is an ancient church, and you look at their churches now have been rebuilt with stained glass, with Dr. King in there, with Selma March in there, with a black Jesus in there. My uncle, who comes from the Caribbean to here, Pastor G.E. Hutchinson, built his church in Port Solano, Florida, and he did a new, and it cost him a lot of money, a new stained glass with a black Jesus and all black disciples in it, to remind their children, to just let their children know we are part of it. We are in the middle of this.
Bro, do that in one of your bro. Ooh. The membership will take it down and replace it back with white Jesus.
You know the reason why we kept that one there, which we're going to do a modern installation very soon. The reason why we kept that there is because it represents the people. It represents poor people making a sacrifice. So we didn't want to dishonor poor people. So, and the poor people of Birmingham, we didn't know whether they had connections or whatever else. But it didn't have any representation. There's a minor representation in there which is questionable. But it didn't have any major representation which we felt were pro-slave, pro-white supremacists, except it all being white images, which is anyway. But there you go. But we have to live with that. We have to live with that. So, but if I had my way, I wouldn't live with it. But I have to honor the people's sacrifice. But what I'm saying is, going back to what we're talking about here now, is that we have to have spaces where we focus on talking and disagree without being disagreeable, because that is the intellectual ball. And once we don't have this intellectual ball of conversation, we will not be able to then enlighten our children as to where their place is if we haven't talked about it. Now, if you're not going to sort of say to yourself, okay, why am I uncomfortable with seeing black images of Jesus, for instance? Why am I uncomfortable? It is because I've been schooled into believing that Jesus and the disciples came from Europe. And their images were imaged
Yep.
because Europe was presenting itself as the holy church
Yeah.
of the world. Now they were wrestling against Constantinople, which Constantinople is where you find modern day Turkey. And they used to call that Istanbul. Now they call it Istanbul now, but it was called Constantinople.
That's it.
And where you meet there is where the church split.
Yeah, yeah.
It was there where the church was originally. So you've got to read church history as well. You've got to get yourself ready. Read church history. Church history tells you that the holy center of the church was North Africa, and then it went to Constantinople.
Yeah.
And so that was where East meets West.
And I think see, this is going. And the funny thing is, you went from positive spaces to discuss.
Yeah.
Right straight back to the original church. And that's when I was thinking that, you know what? As a people now, I'm talking about black people, we like to disagree even to start a new church.
Right,
I can't stand that. We should be able to disagree as leadership and move forward. Right. Not so much find a compromise, find truth, and both move forward. I'm not going to agree with everything you agree with, but we can march forward for a common goal.
But they had their conferences to try and agree doctrine.
And that's when you got Nicene and all.
And you get further creeds coming in, you get further conferences as well, the Anti-Nicene Creed, blah, blah, blah. And you've got loads of conferences that they meet with. And
what does the church look like? But this is the thing, is what people don't realize. What was the church? Now we get taught a table full of old white guys with a beard. That's the picture, guys. They were giving.
They have to give you that. And then you'll feel safe.
Yeah, and in Nicene, when they show that, and a black guy complains about it, it's shown as an environment of basically 5 white guys decided on the church, and it took 2 weeks.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't realize is that these councils weren't no 2-week councils.
No, they were long. They were long. Remember,
years.
it took people years to travel to the council.
Yeah.
They weren't just going on there and just catching a plane there. Remember, a donkey them off a travel on, and some of them walked. So when you look at this, most of the academic scholarship that was coming into the Nicene and into the early church till around about sort of 300 BC, and it continued after that, all came from Alexandria, all came from, if you think of Augustine, Augustine was the biggest conversator on the development of the kingdom of God reflection, and he comes from Hippo. He was born in Hippo. Every image of Augustine, you see him as being white. So all of those, Irenaeus, Augustine, all those early guys were from North Africa. They were born there. There wasn't an issue with where they were born. There wasn't an issue where they were born. It is only later where you find that the Holy Roman Empire decided, we need the church in Rome because Rome is our center of our political power. It is the empire. It is where the empire is born. So they were saying that if they combine empire and church, then they're formidable. They cannot be stopped.
Because the Romans.
So that's why they brought now the Holy Church that was in North Africa and in Constantinople. They split, and the bishops, the authentic bishops from the Constantinople Church, they moved into the Eastern Orthodox Church, and now you get the westernized European church in Europe. And so when you read church history, you can see this split, and then how the church becomes then further corrupted by it being part of the popery. It starts to bring a popery into it, and it starts to bring a permanent popery into it, and then it starts to bring laws and spiritual extravagances that come in towards the bishops living their lives. So then when you read church history and you think about Tetzel, and you think about why Martin Luther wrestled against the church in the 15th century, it is because the church had become more of a money-making business than a holy authority on the earth. So, and that's where you get the Reformation starting to come in. But
the thing is, I was also looking at, because we talk a lot about the Orthodox Church. No, we don't talk enough about the Orthodox Church. And the thing is, when we say Orthodox Church, we think of guys with long beards and waving incense in you know what I'm saying? So
that's the image.
That's the image. So you think about the Armenian Church, the Greek Orthodox Church. You're looking at Eastern European, and still there is a church which we're not really talking about, which is the Ethiopian,
the Ethiopian
Orthodox Church, which was a different entity in itself theologically as well. And they were underneath the Coptic Church, which is up in Egypt now.
Which it's not only, if you talk about Egypt like it is today. You've got to talk about the landmass was not really just
it's North Africa, Northern Africa.
It was a very, very loose landmass. You know,
yeah.
and it's spread further than where you see now.
And Ethiopia was more referring to dark-skinned men. Ethiopia was a reference to black men. You know what I mean? So it could be somebody from the Ethiopian kind of area, but it also transcended to all the sub-Sahara
they would
countries.
call them. They would call them Cushites. They would call them Ethiopians because they populated all of that area, and the whiteness of that area only really becomes prominent when you get a lot of invasion from the Saudis and the Arabs from the further north that come in and mix, and the Europeans that come in and mix in places like Morocco. So that is a mixed culture, but it is still predominantly African. So because that the skin color of Africans can vary very, very much.
But you know what's funny? I was watching my friend watching the African Nations Cup. You know what I'm saying? Guys, this is sound so weird. Now, football is the sport of the normal folk, innit? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's imagine when you're watching you watch Egypt them and they got the, you know what I mean, light skinned brothers them and they're all rolling me. I think I'm quite dark, you know what I mean? But when it comes to Egypt and them still, but as soon as you go to Sudan and Ethiopia, colour switches.
Okay,
where you would think in your head that they're more Arab looking, but within a second that the Sudanese, the Ethiopians are black men. And sometimes we've been portrayed that they're not black men, you know what I'm saying, because maybe the leadership is a bit more brown than the average bear, but there are black men, dark skinned men, you know what I'm saying, a whole heap of them, you know what I'm saying, in his countries. And sometimes we almost think that the northern African, there's a lot more black dark skinned people around that area, and it's not to say that. And the importance that I kind of found out from studying a bit more about the movement of the Ethiopian church and the Ethiopian eunuch and whatsoever is trade is important. And I think we continue to think that the trade, Europeans started this whole trade thing. Trade was how the wise men got to Jesus, you know what I'm saying? You know, the trade zones. How do you think? And that's how, and Christianity, religion moved on the trade routes. You know what I'm saying? So the name of Jesus moved on trade routes. So you got to think about it. The trade routes went into India. We kind of ignore the fact that the church was a big thing in India in the early couple of hundred centuries. You know what I mean? Also, it was a big thing moving across, even into the Kingdom of Ghana, which was a massive. Like you said, we can't look at Ghana as Ghana is now. We have to look at Ghana in terms of its kingdom perspective and the Mali kingdoms as what they are. Timbuktu has records of Christians moving in them areas. So there's before we even talk about slavery, Christianity was functioning in these areas, but then it creates up a thing now where you have a more Hebrew-based Christianity coming. So then it challenges us as me as a black man now, who's struggling with identity in this Catholic hybrid breakdown, and after we're always after something, after Reformation, after Azusa Street, after everything version. Its foundation is on Constantine. Why don't I switch over to orthodoxy? So I think that for us, it's not hidden. It's not hidden sort of truths that we can find in looking beyond the surface. Because I think that if you're really hungry, you look beyond the surface. And when you look beyond the surface, the bigger question to ask is there a future? Also, is there a present context and a future for Africans in Christianity? Is there a present context and then there's a future? So you can always see the history. It's not that hidden. It's only hidden if you blinker yourself. If you blinker yourself, you will then not be interested. Because you've got to be hungry and interested to find yourself in there. So, a scholar recently said the hardest thing to find in the Old Testament is a white man. That's a bold statement, man. You want to see that? You want to say that? You them come from? You know what I'm saying?
The hardest thing to find in the Old Testament is a white man.
Get carried out.
And then I added, unless it's leprosy or something. I don't know. Because then, man, I grabbed the statement and I deeped it. As the younger said, I deeped it hard. I said, he's absolutely right.
It's scary, man. It's
Europe is irrelevant up to the point of Paul getting a Macedonian call. In terms of spiritual outpouring, prophetic words, discipleship development, it was irrelevant.
Macedonia,
the Macedonian call,
Greece,
where Macedonia is the touch into Europe.
Yeah.
Where Lydia is the touch into Europe. Yeah. And you're running down into the book of Acts to try and find that.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, you're starting to say to yourself, it was a natural thing to be black and Christian and part of the biblical narrative. Natural. We now have made it special because we have to find it. Because we have to rediscover it. And that's why we've got Copia here. We've got Dr. Copia here with the recovery of black presence, interdisciplinary exploration. That's a book. Randall C. Bailey. Yeah, these are people who have trained with Dr. Beckford and so on. Randall C. Bailey and so on.
So it's a UK person? UK?
No, American. Older American man. I'll show you him. Him look like your grandfather. Have a look.
Amen. What year was this put together?
This book. See him there?
Yeah, man.
I see him. So you can see him as a big fella.
Yeah, big man. Big man.
This one was put together in, I think it was in 2000s. Sorry, no. 1995.
And this is what I'm saying, bro.
This is 1995. This guy studied from back in the day, though. This is a 1960s study. And his original books are these, like, black biblical studies.
Well, like, for me, these books now,
Look at this fella.
These books, like I said, I got saved in early 90s, and I would have yammed up these books back then, bro. But these books
because they weren't presented to you as anything. Because remember that anything black,
and I went to black church people, by the way.
Black empowering was seen as non-Christian. It was seen as non-Christian, and this is why you were hidden from it, because it was seen as, if we push this to you, you will reject your Christianity. Yeah, because outside there was the Black Panther movement, the Black Power movement, the Rastafari movement. There was everything else that tells you that your Christianity is too soft, it's too milquetoast. It tells you just to kumbaya, my Lord, and wait for Jesus to come, to be able to manage itself in a critical world. So therefore, all of this was denied you because there was the feeling of it will poison your mind on the Christianity that you see today.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at now is recognizing that is because we came from two grinding authorities, right? We came from two areas. One was the Caribbean. Remember, that is involved in us. So we weren't straight from Africa to America into American society. We were through the grinding systems. We went through from Africa to the Caribbean, grinding system of slavery and colonialism. So it reconstructed the mind to think that whiteness is greatness, blackness is servanthood. Servants.
100%, not even servants, man.
Servants. So then when you come here now, you come to the mother country. What a wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much, Miss Sister Elizabeth. That's what we call the Queen. Queen Elizabeth. For giving us this opportunity to now come to the mother country. So the mother country can suckle us into being more civilized. You see what I mean? To be civilized.
I'm coming to serve you. Come here to serve
so
the Queen.
We now come to serve more. So we've come to serve in the NHS. We've come to serve on the buses. We've come to do all the serving and build back the mother country. So there's this white supremacist attitude towards we again being the servants. And then when you look at the media structure around us, what is the program that we used to watch every day? We used to watch Tarzan. Tarzan gave us an understanding of what Africa was. That's the only time we saw Africa on a regular basis as children. Think about whenever did you see Africa other than Tarzan?
He's the old school version of White Yardie.
Right. No, he isn't. Leave White Yardie alone.
He's born in Africa, man. He's born in Africa. Speak the language then, man.
No. He was grown up by he wasn't even grown up by Africans. They grew him up by apes.
But apes, man. You know what I'm saying? I think that they were trying to say Africans, but you know what I mean? But they said apes. But anyway, don't get myself in trouble.
So when you look back, the only insight you had into Africa was the scared Africans who were scared of their own country. And the only person who was brave enough to deal with everybody in Africa is Tarzan, who's the white guy. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and
when
he stopped the black smugglers taking things out.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Juju.
Yeah.
So when you look at that historically, that is the image that is presented to you constantly.
Yeah. The man
it's only now that we have new images that we can see, that we can say, I'm just going to do it for myself. I'm going to look at my civilization of Ghana, of Nigeria, of Benin, or wherever I want to look.
Gabon.
South Africa. I want to look at it. I can see everything. I can see everything. And now with the influx of Africans, Nigerians, Ghanaians into our lives now, we're really realizing that much of our knowledge and information was stolen because we were told that because we are from the Caribbean, we are better than Africans. We are not Africans, we are Caribbeans. And Caribbeans are great because they've been civilized. And Africans from Africa are not civilized. So colonialism, bless us, we've had schooling, we've had roads. Can you see the danger?
Bro,
Can you see the evil?
right, you know?
Can you see the evil? Even our children are scared to marry
Africans.
a Nigerian or Ghanaian.
Yep.
Because their parents tell them, no, I'm not African, and this your family. Like they are from space. So African Christianity is this big thing, brother. It's this big thing. It is Christianity.
It is. Yeah.
That's my bold statement.
Yeah,
I would say African Christianity is Christianity because there's no other route. There's no other route. And if you read this wonderful book, African Christianity and the Bible, Our Global Destiny by Archbishop Deo T. Agma. Yeah.
Because the thing is,
it's a beautiful read. You can read that and recognize that African Christianity is Christianity.
But the thing is, I think, you know, and a lot of people who leave the faith, they always refer to Nicene, you know, or the Council of Nicene.
Yeah.
But you know what was crazy, guys? You know, bear in mind, Nicene, correct me if I'm wrong, it was in the late 300s, isn't it?
Yes.
It's in the 300s, yeah?
Yeah.
But people don't realize that Christians weren't just smoking 2 cigars for 200 years after Christ burned and just happy getting things on, yeah? There were key doctrinal issues that was settled and was pushed forward by African churches, you know, led by African leaders and teachers. So Alexandria, when I got taught about monks, I always think of Friar Tuck, you know what I mean, as my first introduction to men dedicated for God's service. They don't touch woman, they just spend all day long writing scriptures, that was a 1500s perspective or 1066 perspective of monasteries in the UK. We have these great men. Sorry, mate, that was happening in Africa from in Egypt from long time. They had monasteries going on. They had monks going on, and the reality show is that they were dealing with things about the divinity of Christ. About the divine divinity. Some of the things that we talk about, we think we're intellectual now. We think we're all going, Christ is a Trinity, and we talk all Trinity talk like it's a modern conversation. But they had that conversation in Africa with the different factions of the different cultures of the churches that was going on. And one thing I did like when I was doing a bit of study about it, is that the Coptic church that was ahead of the Ethiopian churches, when he would go into a different area where Ethiopia, he would have to spend time to learn the language. But what modern Christianity did when it came to colonialism and slavery is they never learned the local language. They enforced their own knowledge and language onto the people and never even tried to grab it. And that's a major kind of like for me going, hold on a second. And it's interesting how you focused more on going forward, because we can get dragged back and look at the original doctrines of orthodoxy. You know what I'm saying? And I hear a lot of people speak space guys, because we're not correct me if I'm wrong, we're technically not orthodoxy at all, you know what I'm saying, you know, in the way we're thinking. But then we started thinking, okay, maybe I need to go back to my roots and go back to an orthodox approach to Christianity. What would you say to somebody who's looking from an orthodoxy perspective? You know, because sorry guys, we're hearing all these fancy terms that have been dropped into us. Oh, I'm going back to the orthodox ways of doing church. That's the true Christianity because its roots are still true to 200 years after Christ. You know what I'm saying?
I think one of the things is to then, you know, one is if you're talking about orthodoxy, and reflecting on where we are today. Well, Orthodoxy had to go through a process of working out what the canon was. So the canon was, what are the scriptures that affirm fully the words of Jesus? So it had to take parts from the Quran text. It had to take parts from what the apostles spoke about, and also parts of what affirmed the Old Testament as well, to create this canon. So you get this translation of the 70, which translates, and then you get the apostles and the scholars bringing the Bible together in the canon. Yeah. So when you look at the canon then allows you to understand what was the orthodoxy of the day. So in order to be going into orthodoxy, it is not about how you present yourself, it's about how you understand the word of God. And about how you're going to read the word into where you are today. Because orthodoxy is about, what do you believe about Christ? What do you believe about the relationship of Christ and his church and the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit? Okay, what do you also believe about eschatology? Because then that will inform you about where you are today as well. So orthodoxy is about, how do you now, one, follow Christ, two, manifest the work of Christ on earth. It is not about you going to find a cave and trying to find an original scripture and then you trying to learn
the whole
language to try and find out, because it's there and clear. God has given a methodology for us to understand in a modern language what is Christ today. And I'm not talking about finding scholars. I'm talking about finding scholarship in the word, and then understanding dissecting the word, and then being able to understand, what is my role today? If your role today is just to be an intellectual giant that is cleverer than anybody else, then you have no Christian role.
Wow.
You haven't got no Christian role.
Yeah.
If your role today is to try and confuse everybody and dislodge them from their church, then you have no role except you are creating discord. Yeah. Right? But if your role today is to empower yourself to follow Christ and then also help others to follow Christ, then you're in the orthodoxy of Christianity. Because the orthodoxy of Christianity is disciples were called into a role. They were taught by Christ in their years, and they were presented to the world as the ones who are the Christos, the Christians, the ones who follow Christ. That's why they said they're Christians, because they look like him, they sound like him. Yeah? And what do they mean by look like him? It wasn't meaning that they had the same hair or the same nose. It is because their whole lifestyle imaged Christ. So that's why they were called this wicked name, the dirty Christians. But we have it as a good name now. Yeah. But they were called, those are the Christians, meaning those are likely to be murdered. Those are the ones that we can kill for nothing. That was the Christian name then. But the Christian name really was, they followed, they continued in the lifestyle of Jesus Christ, words and practice.
So it's about really embracing orthodoxy.
That's right.
For what it truly is, not so much culturally, but
you can also talk about pre-Constantinian Christianity.
Yeah.
That is not embrouged by structures of politics, structures of modernisms that change every day, structures of doctrines that are self-motivated. You follow me? When you do that, then you think about the Nicene Creed and you think about the anti-Nicene fathers and so on and so forth, and the post-Nicene fathers. They all were focusing on, how does the church become more like the church that Christ spoke about?
Yeah.
Rather than something that, which is good. Which is different from you saying, okay, orthodoxy is what I want to see as a rebellion against the modern church today, because I feel like with Pastor Jackson. Because he was raising the offering for his Range Rover. I don't like him because he drives a nice car, and I had to catch the bus last week. That rat bag. I'm going Orthodox.
No, but people.
I'm gonna hide in a cave down in Handsworth Park.
Listen, people have motives, guys. Some serious, like, when you're saying you upset because you see something, and then you grab onto something which you gravitate and lead people away from the truth. You know what I'm saying? And believe it or not, Affinity Extra is not really here to push black people into dark spaces. We're here to create in a healthy environment the conversation, the reflectiveness of certain aspects of it. Because you say Constantine in front of certain age generation of black men, that's like saying Hitler. You know what I mean? That is effectively like Hitler to some black people.
Because as opposed to Christians of that day, he was a nasty character, and there's nothing righteous about him. So, but there is a traditional story about him adopting Christianity as the state religion. So the tradition is that Constantine, a brutal dictator, a Roman emperor, decided that if he wins, and he was trying to look for this win, and those were always trying to find a god that would save them. So the Romans were much similar to the Greeks. They had gods that would save them.
Cool.
Then, in the midst of this, when they were trying to kill Christianity, they still knew about the Yahweh God, the Jewish God, and this Christian God. Because they killed a lot of Christians. So they like studying new things. So as you can see, in internal primary evidence, which is the Bible, that tells you about Paul's interaction with the Romans. And also about history around that as well. You can see a lot of history from Josephus. You can see a lot of history from there that you can find also. And the Roman Empire history as well, because they wrote a lot about their own history and their interaction with Christians. So in the early days, they were burning, they were killing, they were sacrificing Christians because it was easy. They were a nice scapegoat. Same thing they were doing to Jews and barbarians. Now, Constantine realized that this war is going to be a taxing war, and if I lose, I problems. So what he was looking for is a little spiritual help, and he said, if he wins, he will then turn Rome over to Christianity. That's what he said. But it took a long time. He didn't do it immediately at that moment. But this is the romance that we have with Constantine. So then when he won the battle, it was said that when he came across a certain bridge, he saw a star shining, and the star represented the cross. He saw this cross. So Constantine then decided, well, the Christianity is going to be the way forward. But he did a version. He remapped Christianity to fit into Rome.
Because he served the sun god, and he said he brought their solar elements to it.
So they bring these solar elements to it. Now the Christians amongst them believe that, okay, then we can interpret this differently, because they look in Malachi, they say, the Son of Man, the Son of God rising with healing in his wings. They believe that there was something deeper to speak about this sun that everything moves around.
Okay, cool.
And so they imagined that they could then reinterpret that. So everything that you see them reinterpreting is a rough way of trying to pull those people into Christianity. For instance, like, Jesus never said, okay, I want you to build an altar and look like this and look like that, and then represent Hebrewism in what you do. Your body is a living sacrifice presented at the altar of Christ. So now they said, okay, but we need an altar, because you know what, dealing with those people, they always have altars to make sacrifice on. So then they started to create the furniture inside of their churches to now allow those people who were now non-Christian but barbaric in their understanding to see, look, we've got something similar to you.
Come and join the
easy way of pulling them in. And this was the church's practice everywhere where they went. Oh, they do this? Okay, they make a sacrifice? We'll say them, Jesus is like that sacrifice. So they were creating ways of bringing...
So they kind of like rebranded the gospel.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
To win.
Change the tracks.
To create.
They got new tracks. These are for the young people like these tracks.
So it's a bit like... I mean, people should get over themselves today. You always do that. we always do that.
Yeah.
When Kanye West lost his mind away and started going Jesus Walks, Lord Jesus, choirs from churches were singing Jesus Walks. And then the second song in there is everything to do with drugs and murder. Same thing with Snoop Dogg. And I'm saying is, you're trying to find a hook to pull people nearer to Christ.
Yeah.
And so it's done today. So Constantine was only doing what they do today.
Wow.
They find ways of speaking to people who find Christianity relevant and find a relevant point for them and pull them in on that relevant point. So that was what the church was trying to do.
And the thing is, and this is where when I tackle people over the not even tackle people, I hear people about Christmas and pagan festivals that we've embraced because of the Thursdays, the whole everything that we not everything, but there's elements of the days that are structures that all of European paganism. And I totally agree with them. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, you know, if everything was coming out of a different area, i.e., you know, Ethiopia or something, things would be more guilt culturally round that period. So the days will be a bit more different. So they celebrate Christmas on a different day, and then we'll be moaning because everyone's copying. So I get the argument. I don't celebrate Christmas because I got a friend who don't celebrate it too, and I get it. I don't really celebrate Christmas as the world celebrates Christmas. I celebrate Christmas for the day that we celebrate Christ's birth, which should be every day, and also, you know, a little family holiday and whatever. But what we have to be careful is, I've seen a lot of people my generation pick up these paganism things, you know, and I understand Easter eggs and they go in, you know, I don't know, and I know, I can imagine you battle that every not so much battle.
I don't fight with it. No, I don't fight with it.
Okay, don't fight with it.
I don't fight with it at all.
Okay.
I don't fight with it
You
at
just
all.
go straight through.
Yeah. I go straight through into what we call our message. You know, and I think the church needs to be aware of what its message is. We are not here to speak about genealogies and have arguments with everybody in every 5 seconds. That is not our mission. Our mission is to present Christ. Now, if we can have an interpretation of what Christ means in this vision, we need to also say, let's do our research as to why this became part of the traditions of the day. For instance, why did the egg become part of the traditions of the day? It is always seen as the egg is seen as something fertile. Something is birthed out of an egg. Yeah. So when we look at it today, we are looking at business with no Easter eggs, and then
tastes nice.
and whatever. It tastes nice. But what I'm saying is, people are stop themselves from going further intellectually with it to say, okay, what does it represent to us as people who believe that God, in his wisdom, created the bird, the egg, the everything, that if you look at one of the arguments of the existence of God is called the teleological argument, which thinks about God by design.
Okay.
In a more practical era, because we're now all intellectual because we search Google. In a less intellectual era, the people would have a different understanding. And when you look at an egg cracking and a chick coming out of an egg, it says to you, new birth. For many people, historically, the egg represented new birth.
Yeah.
And how they were trying to explain that to common and ordinary people who haven't been to uni, who haven't done this, who haven't done that. Remember, language was still a new thing for for English people who, you see, when the Romans and the Africans came here, they said, these people are uncivilized. They're like sitting in mud and eating mud. We need to civilize them. You know what I mean? So you think about that. You think about that. People from the place where they call civilized came there and saw them and said, you guys need to be civilized.
Well, Julius Caesar said, no, blood, like, you guys...
Julius Caesar run away from here. The Romans said, let's get the hell out of here.
Let's go back to Germany, man. Them barbarians are not as bad.
The only ones that were happy with it was the Vikings.
Vikings, like, these boys are soft, man. I would not want
the only ones that were happy with it were the Vikings. They came and said, yeah, man, these are our kind of people. Throwing axes at each other. Anyhow, so you made me lose my track. So for these people, remember, language was not common. The language that they used was their ordinary English languages. which was not common to the languages of the world. The languages of the world were Latin and Greek.
Yeah.
So now when they have this language of spirituality now coming to them, they had to give them clear
symbols and
understandings and pull them out of their paganism.
Yeah.
Because also for paganism, it's a ritual. It's new life. And what they were trying to explain to them is this egg.
Represents
new life.
Yeah.
The birth of new life. These things coming around now represent a new season. Yeah. And when we talk about the rabbit, there's amongst them. Why have we got a rabbit in there at Easter? What is that about? He says because when the rabbit occurs and comes out, it's talking about a new season.
Yeah, spring.
Spring.
Yeah.
So that's what they were trying to picture everything and get people an antecedent to get them to see Christ as a new season, a springing up of life, new life. Grass is growing, flowers is growing.
Yeah, man.
So for me, that was the beginning of this argument, this teleological argument of the existence of God, because there are other arguments, there are other arguments. The ontological argument of the existence of God speaks about an intellectual conversation as to God made our minds to think in a certain way that we must have an existence of God within us. You follow me? But that's a more intellectual wrestling match. So the easiest one for them to bring is they call it the common man's argument, means find something that is created and say, hey, this is God's creation.
So when we take it, that's a really good way of actually come back to the old pagan, because the people go back to Egyptology, Egypt gods with the egg and all this business and whatever. But the way you've explained,
and this is how they were trying to explain it to their people, and they were trying to explain the power of God, like the Egyptians explained it like this: the power of God is like the sun. Can you stop the sun? Are you in charge of the sun? What does the sun organize? The sun organizes the moon and the stars, and everything moves around it. Ra controls everything. Now, hear what the Hebrews decided from that. They said, well, really it's not Ra. Ra is the sun that God makes. God makes the sun to control things.
So if you're serving the sun,
so then they decided that as we move forward, as God is the controller of everything, the Hebrews realized that this is how we explain it to them. God is bigger than the sun. He makes the sun to control everything. Therefore, God controls everything in the universe.
Come on now.
And he is unseen and unknown. By you. You can't make him in an image. And then when you get to Christianity, they talk about the Son of God, which is Christ rising with healing in his wings. So the relation of God and the Son and that Philip clause is about Christ now being the begotten Son.
It's coming with that narrative.
You follow me? And then that interaction between this narrative of the person of Christ being the Son of God. And so the creeds and the African creeds were speaking about this context of making sure people understand Christ is not an ordinary figure. He is the Son of God. He is part of the Trinity, which represents God. This is what they were wrestling with.
Come on now.
And then that flows into orthodoxy as they wrestled with those things. But they were not things that were decided overnight.
Exactly.
They had to meditate. They had to take their time.
Yeah, you're saying.
They had to read scripture and say to themselves, look, there's evidence here.
And people walk away after 2 weeks, bro.
Right.
After 2 weeks.
Sorry, people think that they can Google something for like 5 minutes
and
then come with a final conclusion on what they're going to do with their life.
Yeah, man.
So to me now, it's wrestling ourselves beyond historical points that we cannot get past and say to ourselves, what's the end goal? To me, the end goal is this: empower our children to understand that blackness is beautiful and it is made in the image of God. End of story. That's it. Secondly, that Christianity is not a structure that is invented in the West. Wow. It is propagated and developed
in
but it is invented in an Afro-Asianic area wherewith God will return to that area when he comes back to give you an understanding of why it's important to him. because that was the center of many things that happened. And the importance of it is more than just going to Jerusalem and trying to find Bethlehem.
Come on.
Because all those things are just irrelevant right now. So, but there's something important about this fig tree. And the only reason why you have to start recognizing why something is important about the fig tree stroke, Jerusalem stroke, North Africa stroke, everywhere in that ball, in that area, there's something very important about it. Because Jesus hails from there. And then the civilization created there.
It's cradle.
The cradle of civilization. Eden. And all of those places that you know, where you speak about the rivers still there now, Euphrates and so on. And then God returns there.
Not
for
in
Jesus
London,
to
mate.
return. So the question is, why is this important to our red flags, our green flags, our understanding of where we are today? And that's where the key thing that we've got to start thinking about, that why is this key to our understanding today? And remember that there is no argument in heaven about whether there was an invention of Christianity or a development of Christianity in Africa. There's no argument. God just did it. He didn't ask anybody's permission. He didn't come to Europe and say, can I do this in Africa? God has no issue with bringing the birth of the faith in a place that is dark.
Come on.
Dark and Cushitish and Ethiopic.
Man.
You know, he has no problem.
Yeah.
The only place that Jesus visited outside of where he was in Palestine is Ethiopia. Sorry, Egypt.
Egypt, yeah.
Ancient Egypt. That's the only place.
Yeah, you have to say ancient Egypt as well.
Strange.
Yeah. No, 100%. Sorry,
why didn't he go to India? Why didn't he go to Rome? Why didn't they send him to Rome? With God, there's nothing impossible, you know.
Yeah, I'm saying, you know.
Why didn't he go to Greece?
Yeah.
He went to Egypt.
Cyprus, even.
Why didn't he go? Could have gone on holiday.
Yeah. Straight Cyprus, man.
There's a reason. And the reason is because, you know, we have to always get back to biblical text, you know, and start trying to look at it and trying to recognize that there is a revelation coming. And then, the earth is the Lord's. He chooses, he picks, he chooses, you know.
Yeah,
and
man.
Revelation says this: all nations will stand before him. So that's the final product.
No, that 100%, man, 100%. And I think, like guys, hopefully you enjoyed this conversation. There's an element which kind of scared me when you dropped about the rabbit. Yeah, you know, I was thinking of. Unfortunately, growing up as a child, we watched Easter Watership Down. That is one of the most traumatizing cartoons.
Man, because that's about sacrifice, isn't it? It's about the poor thing get killed.
The old ugly rabbit dived over. That was the last scene.
Nasty hair.
The tears are coming out your eyes, going. As a child, so when you bring in the rabbit, I think I just thought to myself that's a bit traumatic. So sorry if anyone went through that trauma at the same time.
Sorry.
So Easter's focal point is eggs and crosses, not hairs and stuff. That's traumatic. But I think it's good conversation today because it really pulls on the fact that basically get over the fact that we've had to utilize paganistic so-called paganistic elements and turn the narrative to suit Christianity. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You know
I think it's part and parcel of the church's
development.
It's growth. It's trying something.
Yeah.
It's trying something, and you would never believe, like even today, when you think about Orthodox Islam. When the girls could even look left and right. Now you're seeing girls doing Islamic girls, Muslim girls doing boxing, playing football. They're supposed to be in now.
Yeah, man, cook our food.
They're trying to develop something to reach this next generation, and they're creating ways to be able to do it. You would never believe that they would use music. They would use media. They would use different ways of being able to establish them as a faith. And so our Christianity, if you like, has always been trying to push the boundaries to be able to reach people. Now, some things are wrong because they're wrong interpretations. But it was an attempt to try and get into the space of those without God. Yeah, man. And so when you read church history, that's really what they're trying to do. So when we talk about orthodoxy, yes, there is a way to get back to this non-Constantinian Christianity. But you have to ask yourself the question, what is the end product of it? The end product of it is seeing the word and living the word, and not being contentious and vexational and argumentation with anybody, because you're not with nobody to the kingdom of God. And remember, we're a kingdom preaching station, so we have to talk about how do you preach the kingdom in a different perspective. So that's why you preach the kingdom when you talk about football, then that one talks about wrestling, but we preach the kingdom. We have reggae, we preach the kingdom. We have soca, we preach the kingdom. We have hip-hop, we preach the kingdom. Because we are reaching, back in the day, we would be just on here with Mighty Clouds of Joy and the Grace Thrillers, and that would be it.
Share it, man. And you know what I mean?
Because all the rest of it is satanic.
Listen, man, KJV all day long, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All day long.
In fact, we wouldn't be even playing music. We would just be like singing hymns and reading our Bible. We wouldn't have no other narratives.
Yeah, and we just keep on evolving over the years in terms of our communication to the world.
Yeah, that's it. And so that even part of our development and our conversation here is having the nitty-gritty conversation to say, I get it, and sometimes I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I suppose we'll talk further about what they call orthodoxy. Yeah, and I think that's going to be our next conversation is going to be, how do we describe what these guys talk about orthodoxy? And I always say it's about them trying. I know it's about them trying to rid themselves of the Holy Roman Church's influence of Christianity. Rid yourself of that and trying to get back to, as I said, one of the scholars talks about it like this: non-Constantinian Christianity that cannot be bought and sold by political agendas, that cannot be bought and sold by economic agendas, that it is prophetic, it speaks against unrighteousness and injustice all the time, and it doesn't rest until justice is seen.
You said that.
Hallelujah. I want to leave that there.
Listen, man. But
so that is Cornel West. Cornel West. Yeah.
So just show us the books at the end, guys. I was going to double check. So if you want to know the books that also influence this conversation, but is part of, if you want any books to do that, if you want to explain this. Yeah.
So this is this one. This is by Charles B. Colfier. Charles B. Colfier. Yeah, and he also writes another book with an editation from Randall C. Bailey and Jacqueline Grant. Those are the editors, and this one is the recovery of black presence and interdisciplinary exploration. That is a vital book for you. Please get that book. And then this is next one. This is a fantastic book, and he needs to pay me for presenting him, because in all of this I should present my own book. So so remember my book, The Power of Agreement. Don't forget my book, please. Make sure you purchase it. Go on my website. So this one's called African Christianity and the Bible. Okay, and this is our global destiny. And so Bishop Doye T. Agma, he then just really gives a beautiful development and a study so that you can really read this real quick and get yourself understanding the Nicene Creed, Africans that were involved in faith and Christianity from the early time. So you don't need to get yourself confused. You can look at the original Africans. It talks about the original Africans as well. And he does lean back on Korfer's study as well, and Johnson's studies as well. So
brilliant.
Yeah, so those are three books that I would really recommend for you to read. And outside of this, When We Ruled is a fabulous book to read, to empower yourself to recognize that there's a new day for you to celebrate us.
Yeah.
So that you can celebrate others.
Yeah.
Celebrate us so you can celebrate others. And there's nothing wrong with doing that.
No, definitely not. So guys, thanks for listening in. Hopefully not sweating too hard going, boy, so my hair dried, just the treatment you just had there still. Yeah, but no, absolutely fantastic. And it's challenged myself. And obviously challenging myself now to want to make sure when I say orthodox, I don't think of a Turkish minister with a big beard and making funny sounds in church and speaking orthodoxy. But the reality show is understand orthodoxy in its raw essence. So we'll get into that, because I think it's important when we get pushed back that Orthodox Coptic and Orthodox churches there still. So we'll look into that.
Listen, man, I'm putting up my book.
He's putting up a book.
I don't like being showing whole heap of books today and not my book. There you
100%
go. That is a proper book here now.
The links will be, guys, in the description. I'm making sure the links are in the description. For every time now we do stuff with Bishop, you can check out the links in the description, as they say, at the end of the videos. And thanks for listening in. And you see all the information, the book information. We just want us to be proud of being black men in Christ, and not to push down anybody else, but
Right.
to lift up our head, because we need to start looking in the mirror and grin our teeth and says, I'm proud of who God has made me.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we don't need to dye our hair. We don't need to put no next color in there. We keep it black. So I mean,
And even if you do want to dye your hair, because I ain't got no hair, so that's only a choice for Roger and his friends. It doesn't change your insides. So yeah, so we want content of character.
Yeah, man.
And just remember this: we cannot help anybody else until we help ourselves.
Oh, come on.
We need to rise because we are the helpers of people. I'm telling you, this is what one of the callings that we have as a African people is to be the lifter of others.
Yeah, man.
I want you to really examine that very carefully. And remember, you cannot stand somebody else upon their feet until you are stood up.
Brilliant.
God bless you. Thank you so much, Raj.
Blessings, people. God bless you. Okay, guys, we're gonna close off the show with a bit of Joe Vante's Music to Drown. Yo, this cool down after that interview, man, all day, every day. Yo, you guys better get this stuff on YouTube anyway, still, yeah. So I need to get the air guitar out because, you know, I'm gonna flow to this animal. I'm gonna take this from the top on this. We've gone into extra time here on Everything to Extra. We just celebrate gospel music of black origin. We need to talk edginess about the blackness. We have black lives and music and how it's been. We had a Christianity in blackness. Oh my goodness sake, man. But you know, all good, everything good. Look in the mirror, smile and wave, and be proud of you in Christ anyway. Still, yeah. Let's take it from the top. Music to drown. Let's vibe out the show, and this is how we do it, man. Yo, we're gonna have some craziness going on later on in the show. Got beats and bars and everything out there, so you're gonna hear my voice again and again. Guys, listen, we're gonna go into the Zuma drama as well, man. Today, we've set it up. We're gonna talk about it today on today's show, man. Watch your space. Easy now.